Hey guys, we're going to look at corrections from some of the most commonly missed questions on the Pythagorean theorem word problems. The first one we're going to look at is number 2 on the learn check on word problems. So it says a ladder is 20 feet long. If it is placed 8 feet away from the base of the building, how high up the building will it reach? So first we want to draw a picture so we can kind of visualize what's going on here. So the ladder itself is 20 feet long. So the ladder is going to be leaning like this, 20 feet. Okay, it's 8 feet away from the base of the building. So right here would be 8. Okay, and then this would represent the building itself right here. So the question is, how high up the building will it reach? So this is our right angle. So the 8 and the unknown are going to be our legs. So we could call this side either A or B. It doesn't matter each one, but definitely 20 is going to have to be the C. So first let's go ahead and put our numbers into our equation. So we've got A squared plus 8 squared equals 20 squared. 8 squared gives us 64. 20 squared gives us 400. Okay, next step would be to subtract 64 from both sides. Those are going to cancel out. We have a squared left on that side, and then on the other side, excuse me, we have 336. Now we need to find the square root of both sides. And so then for A, we get 18 and 3/10 would be our rounded answer. Okay, so that was number 2. Okay, the next one we're going to look at is number 3 on the learn check word problems. It says Johnny wants to put a fence around a triangular area. The fence will follow the diagram shown below. About how much fencing will Johnny need? Round answer to the nearest tenth. Well, first of all, we need to figure out what this missing side length right here is. So it looks like 8 and our unknown are the legs. 14 is the hypotenuse. So we'll set up our equation first. A squared plus 8 squared equals 14 squared. 8 squared gives us 64. 14 squared gives us 196. Next step, subtract 64 from both sides. These cancel. Then we have a squared equals 32. Now we need to find the square root. So for A, we get about 11 and 5/10. Now, I think probably the mistake that a lot of you made is you were trying to put that as your answer, and that is the correct side length for this missing side, but that's not what the question's asking. It says how much fencing will he need? So the fence is going to go all the way around all 3 sides. So we have to then add the missing side that we found plus 8 plus 14, which gives us a total of 33 and a half. What's our unit? We don't have a unit. I'm guessing it's probably feet. Okay. All right, next we're going to go on to the last assignment with the 15 questions from the module and look at the most commonly missed ones there. So number 6 is the first one we're going to look at. It says a ramp is placed from a ditch to a main road 2 feet above the ditch. If the length of the ramp is 12 feet, how far away is the bottom of the ramp from the road? Okay, so here's the ramp. It's 12 feet. Okay, it's 2 feet. This is obviously not drawn to scale. 2 feet above the ditch. How far is the ramp from the road? So this is our unknown right here. So we could call this either A or B. Okay, setting up our equation, we're going to have a squared plus 2 squared equals 12 squared. 2 squared gives us 4. 12 squared gives us 144. Subtracting 4 from both sides would be our next step. Okay, then that gives us 140. Then finding the square root, which comes out to 11 8/10. And our unit was feet, 11 8/10 feet. Okay, number 7 is the next one that was commonly missed. It says a 13-foot ladder is placed 5 feet away from a wall. The distance from the ground straight up to the wall, to the top of the wall is 13 feet. Will the ladder reach the top of the wall? Okay, so first we will always want to draw a picture so we can visualize what's happening. So it says that the ladder is 13 feet. Here's our ladder. Okay, it's placed 5 feet away from the wall. So it's 5 feet away from the wall. And then it says the distance from the ground straight up to the top of the wall is 13 feet. Okay. So the question is, will the ladder reach the top of the wall? So basically they're asking, is this a right triangle? Would this situation work out? So we need to plug in the values to see if it's true. So if I have 5 squared plus 13 squared equals 13 squared. Well, right from the beginning, I don't even need to solve this, right? Because if this is 13 squared and this is 13 squared, well, those are equal to each other. But if I'm adding a 5 squared over here, I know that the left side is going to be a bigger answer than the right side. So just logically looking at it, I can tell that no, it's not going to be true. Also, we know that the hypotenuse is always going to be longer than both of the legs. So when I see that the hypotenuse is 13 and one of the legs is 13, that should be a clue from the get-go that something's not right. Okay, the next one we're going to look at is number 12. So it says the area of a square is 81 square centimeters. First, find the length of a side, then find the length of the diagonal. Okay, so we have a square. We know the area of that square is 81 centimeters squared. Well, think about how that area answer was found. We did length times length, which in this case, the length and width are the same. So it's side squared. So we need to find the square root of the area to figure out what each side is. So each side length is 9, because we know that 9 times 9 is 81. Now the question's asking for the length of the diagonal. So we'll draw the diagonal in here. Okay, and then also I'll label this side. So you could focus on this triangle on the left side or the one on the right. Either way, it's going to work out the same. Let's look at the one on the left here. So clearly my legs are both 9, and then we're asked to find the hypotenuse. So my equation is going to look like this: 9 squared plus 9 squared equals c squared. We know that 9 squared is 81. Then 81 plus 81 is 162. Next, we need to find the square root, and that comes out to be 12 7/10. Okay, so that would be the length of the diagonal. Okay, the next one we're going to look at is number 13. It says, in a computer catalog, a computer monitor is listed as being 19 inches. This distance is the diagonal distance across the screen. If the screen measures 10 inches in height, what is the actual width of the screen to the nearest inch? So first we can draw a picture of the screen. Okay, we know the diagonal is 19. Okay, it's 10 inches in height, and then this is my unknown here, which we could either call A or B. Either way would be fine. Okay, So when I set up my equation, it's going to be a squared plus 10 squared equals 19 squared. Okay. So 10 squared gives us 100. 19 squared gives us 361. Next step, we need to subtract 100 from both sides. Okay, that gives us 261. And then we want to find the square root of that. Okay, which comes out to 16 and 2/10. Excuse me. Actually, as I'm looking at this, and it says, what's the actual width of the screen to the nearest inch? That may be why so many of you missed this one, because maybe Miss Miki put it in as 16 and 2/10 for the final answer. I'll have to go back and check that. Okay, so either rounding to the nearest whole inch would technically be 16, but the exact answer to the tenths place, which is what all the other problems had said, would be 16 and 2/10. Excuse me. Okay, so number 15 is the last one we're going to look at. It says an isosceles triangle has congruent sides of 20 centimeters. The base is 10 centimeters. Find the height of the triangle. So first we have to know what an isosceles triangle is, which means there are two congruent sides. And this is the most common type of isosceles triangle that you'll see drawn. So I know these two sides are congruent. Okay, the side lengths are 20. Okay, the base is 10. And then we want to find the height of the triangle. Well, the height, we're going to have to draw in to the middle there. Okay, so if we look at this as a right triangle, this half right here, okay, the legs A and B, well, we could say B is our unknown, the height. Well, A would be 5, because if this whole side length is 10, but we're only looking at half of it, then A is going to be 5. So put a little note here that A equals 5. So we're going to say 5 squared plus B squared equals, and then the hypotenuse is 20 squared. 5 squared gives us 25. 20 squared gives us 400. Then we would subtract 25 from both sides. Okay, that gives us 375. Then we find the square root. So final answer comes out to be 19 and 4/10. That's the height of the triangle. Okay, so those are our corrections from last week. Email me if you have questions about anything. Hope you guys are having a good day. Thanks. Bye.